We just had a statement from the White House saying that they cannot confirm whether Israel has plans to relocate people out of Rafah. Let's speak to Eyal Ben-Ari, Senior Fellow at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us here on BBC News. So plans, although this has been announced, this plan for humanitarian islands moving, more than 1 million people potentially from Rafah. How logistically could that happen in effectively a war zone?
First of all, good afternoon or good evening. I would say it's a huge logistical undertaking. We are talking about at least two major areas. One would be pushing the civilians in the Rafah area towards the coast and up north, a bit to the north, towards the southern part of central Gaza, which is still an open area. That's one possibility for a major effort. The other is that we've been having consistent, I would say, reporting about Egypt creating a humanitarian area just on the border of Rafah in the Egyptian area. So these would be two major areas. Now, having said that, one must realize that the very acts of establishing an infrastructure, which includes tents, sewage, running water, some kind of public facilities for healthcare, for government, and so on, is something that will take months to carry out.
Well, that's interesting that you bring up the matter of timing, because as you say, with that amount of people and those amount of logistics, that will take time. That's
right. And obviously, certainly in the Gaza area, the IDF would want to be there and control all the establishment of the infrastructure. Now, if I may, another little comment. This is, as you said before, there are no actual plans that have been published or disseminated to the general public, but it does fit what have been, we in Israel have been told by the IDF that the whole campaign will take months to complete. People are talking about 2025, perhaps 2026. So this effort, it will take a long while, but it does fit with the overall idea of the IDF campaign in Gaza.
And what do you make to the statement by the White House that we just talked about there, with the fact that they are saying they have no idea of the plans, that they are not aware of these plans? It does rather seem that there has been more pressure from the White House administration to try and find out what is going on, what Israel's plans are, but clearly Israel not sharing them.
At this stage, I agree completely with the idea that Benjamin Netanyahu is completely beholden, because of the structure of his coalition, to the radicals, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and others and so on. And knowing Bibi, at least according to his track record, he's holding all the cards very close to his heart. And in a sense, based again on precedents, he will perhaps wait for even greater American pressure being put on Israel and coming out with certain plans. We've seen this time and again during this campaign, where the US would say more humanitarian aid, Bibi Netanyahu prevaricates, and finally, if you like, capitulates and so on. The very fact, one must understand that the IDF is quite a porous institution in Israel. And so we are getting various media reports about this possibility of these humanitarian islands. Any concrete plans? I don't have any idea myself.
One of the objectives, clearly, of the IDF, or the main objectives, is to get rid of any Hamas operatives. I just wonder, when you potentially are moving more than 1 million people from one area to another, how do you separate, how do you identify those Hamas operatives? How would they go about doing that logistically?
This would be this is one of the things that may take time. So if the IDF creates various kinds of checkpoints, roadblocks, and so on, they will have to check each and every individual. Now, there are two big worries from the point of view of the IDF. With the Hamas operatives indeed seeping into these humanitarian islands, That's one, that is Hamas operatives. On the other hand, the IDF is very worried that the Hamas may potentially start to control these humanitarian islands. For example, dominating or controlling all the access to food, medicine, and so on, just as it has done and is doing in Gaza. One more point, which may interest international audience, is that we're hearing, I would say, the last month or so, various suggestions about creating a governmental or a military government, the same kind of government through which Israel occupied and controlled the West Bank and Gaza before the withdrawal in 2005 and before the Oslo Accords. That is, in every one of these humanitarian islands, and perhaps in other parts of Gaza, you would have a military governor and an apparatus under him.
We'll have to leave it there. It's really good to talk to you. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.